Welcome back. We're coming to you live from Parliament. I'm joined by the man of the moment, the Finance Minister, Nene, delivering his first budget speech today. Good evening to you, Minister.
Good afternoon. To you. It does feel like evening to me.
Yeah, it's been a long day. It's been a long day for all of us.
It's not going to end too soon.
And for you, your first budget speech, a little bit nerve-wracking?
Indeed. It was quite... you didn't know what to expect, daunting. Whatever you had anticipated, you don't know whether it will materialize. So,
well, you come at a time, a lot of people were feeling for you, where it was very hard to be Mr. Popular. You warned us last year that you had to increase taxes, and you did so. Unusually, given the speculation beforehand that you would really target the rich, you didn't. Just tell me the thinking behind this spread of 1% that basically goes to every taxpayer earning above basically 15,000 Rand a month.
Look, our tax continues to be progressive in that even if it is the same percentage, it does that because our marginal tax rates actually are on an escalating basis. So you will find that the 1 percentage point for the people lower down, actually people up to 450,000 actually do experience a decrease because taking into account the fiscal drag, you actually find that they pay less even though we have added a percentage point because we still are compensated for fiscal drag, for inflation. People at the higher levels. So we also needed to find the right balance between raising our taxes, protecting the tax base, because this time it's not just about broadening but protecting, but at the same time making sure that you also don't stifle the economy by taking away from the economy. So it was that delicate balance that one needed to
there were fears you could hurt entrepreneurship, hurt investment, even by targeting those top individuals. And I want to ask you, it sounded like you were speaking to business in a lot of the speech. Is there a recognition that business is not actually feeling loved by the South African government? You were giving a lot of reassurance to business, to investors, is that correct?
Look, this relationship is a two-way relationship. It's a relationship that government needs to work with business. We don't have a choice. We are in this together, but also business needs to also embrace government. But also we need to hear what the concerns of business are, in as much as we would want business to hear our concerns out. I've had a number of engagements with business, even though at a higher level, and it is now time for us to also begin to start targeting the middle-sized business. But we are talking to business, and we think that we can find each other, and that it is in both the private sector and the public sector's interest to find each other so that we can lift our economy together.
Because there is an underlying, almost a tragedy. If you look at corporate taxes and you've looked at how they've declined, if less tax revenue is coming in, profits are decreasing, companies aren't making that much, they're not investing, they're not creating jobs. Looking back, has government made mistakes? Has government made mistakes causing business to hold back, or were we just a victim of these global forces, of everything that was going on?
I think partly this lack of trust, I would want to believe that it is a historical, it has its roots in where we come from. And with the new dispensation, I think it's going to take a lot of effort from all of us, from business, from the private sector, to find each other. Because at the end of the day, I mean, I wouldn't want to say business has made mistakes or government has made mistakes. I don't think we have moved, aggressively enough to finding each other. And I think this is the time to do that.
What would you say to those on the other side? And going in, there's been a lot of speculation that you have been buffeted by two very strong forces. On the one hand, investors, business. On the other hand, people are looking to the more populist policies of the EFF. A lot of speculation that the government is under pressure to follow suit. Were you feeling those two forces? And what would you say to those on the other side who say that austerity is going to hurt us right now. It's going to make the problems of unemployment, of poverty, even worse. That you should have defied the rating agencies and spent even more.
Look, it's a necessary tension that we need in any given, especially in a democracy. You need those tensions, because those tensions bring you to reality. For us, unfortunately, in our space, there is no room for populism. We actually have to address challenges in the interest of the country. And by doing that, and I keep on saying to people, it's not just about pandering to the ratings agencies, but it's doing the right thing for our own good. And then whoever looks at the performance of our economy and the way we're doing things, be it ratings agencies, be it investors, they actually should be able to see a story that is attracting, that is conducive to coming in to do business. And it is in that we think our future lies, and we need to work very hard, holding hands.
Minister, you mentioned this, that people want value for money. We have a small tax base, taxes are going up, but people want to know that that money is spent well. Are you battling to reduce waste? We know that the previous finance minister spoke about cutting up credit cards. The following day, the reports were ready that he was facing this backlash. Is it difficult to cut down on those unnecessary expenses?
Look, spending is actually, you can put in legislation, for me, it's actually an ethical thing as well. I always say the best principle or the best philosophy is to do what you would do with your money, with state or public funds. So it's a mindset, it's something that we should work at, and it is something that we should at all levels. It is for that reason that you do need road signs in order to regulate traffic, but you need drivers who actually drive conscientiously and who are considerate to other drivers to be able to have an accident-free or incident-free flow of traffic. The same applies in dealing with public finances. We actually need to continue and work hard at inculcating a culture of looking after governments or public resources as if they were your own.
Besides the waste, there's a concern that government is just too big, and you last year said there's going to be a freeze on headcount. And it must be very difficult. I would love to hear that teachers are going to earn more, policemen are going to earn more, but there's this huge burden of the wages of the state. Are we going to downsize? How are we going to deal with this big ticket item?
I would want to say that the first step at that is the review. I made an example of the Department of Education that we're doing a personnel review to see first where people are deployed and whether people are deployed in the right places, because that's where it starts. When we say government is big, it means in more ways than one that perhaps we have people in positions that we do not necessarily need to fill. So that's what needs to be done. So it's looking at those personnel reviews, and we will be producing a report that talks to those personnel reviews as a report to cabinet that begins to say, let's do something about it. So there are quite a number of ways, without necessarily having to move in the way of retrenching. We need to redeploy people to where they are required. We need to actually assess the skill set that we have. We need to ensure that we take advantage of natural attrition and all other means of making sure that we cut down to size.
Let's look at Eskom. As expected, you spoke about the 23 billion rand needed. And it really seems like a little plug, like government sticking its finger in to stop this hole, but the ship is actually drowning in debt. If you look at Eskom's finances, it doesn't have the money to do this huge infrastructure build. Government doesn't seem to have the money. And I think a lot of people were hoping that there would be something radical here, saying investors can come in and control parts of Eskom. Did you think about that?
Look, our focus in the package that we designed for Eskom is to deal with the financial sustainability of Eskom. It has these 5 elements. It is 23 billion might look small, but what it does, including the conversion of the 60 billion subordinated loan into equity when the time comes, once we have assessed the actual situation, It is to actually give Eskom. Eskom is sitting with government guarantees of in excess of 350 billion rands, and they haven't drawn all those guarantees. So Eskom still has the capacity to go out to borrow, because Eskom's investment program is a long-term investment which does not only require cash in order to augment, but it requires a careful and a credible plan going forward. And that it is for that reason that the mix also talks to the cost-reflective tariffs in order to be able to recover. It also talks to the manner in which they reduce their own wastage, and it is for that reason that we had a commitment from them, and we are monitoring that and working very closely with them. A commitment for efficiencies to be realized, but also to look at when you go forward, as we release these equity injections, we release them monitoring exactly with very stringent conditions that ensure that wherever we put public funds, we actually do get this value for money. It becomes the running thread.
Minister, we've run out of time. Just in finality, could you give, say, a few words to the South Africans who are struggling, wading under a mountain of debt, who are unemployed and who have just been told that actually there may be a bit more pain, a few more taxes, e-tolls not going, things like that?
Look, whatever it is we're doing as a country, we're doing it, it is in the interest of the general citizenry. And what we're doing is to restore this economy. And as I said, the 2 years is going to be tough, but what we're trying to do is to build fiscal space that 3 years down the line, we should be able to be back on normalcy.
All right. Thank you very much, Finance Minister Nhlanhla Nene.